Good day everyone, this is Emay Ann Visto, your reporter, and today our topic is all about Chapter 8, Organization for Production Manufacturing. So here are the subtopic. First is the type of production process. Second, increased production. Third, factors involved in manufacturing. The fourth is step in production control, and the last is the quality control. So the learning objectives. So at the end of the topic, the listener must be able to learn the types of production process, to know the increasing process, to understand the factors involved in manufacturing, and the last is to understand and to know the step in production control and the quality control. So production or manufacturing, as it is more commonly called, is concerned with the making of things, the creation of utility. Etymologically, the word manufacturing means making by hand, but very few articles are now made slowly by hand. So in the Philippines, agriculture is still the biggest sector in the economy production patterns. So manufacturing in output rose from 834 million peso in 1953 to 2,697 million peso in 1963, an increase of 223.4%. So, so let's have the first subtopic, which is the types of production processes. So, production is the process by which the materials used in the industry are made into the things that industry or consumers want. So, production processes are extractive, analytic, synthetic, fabricating. So, first we have the extractive process. So, the term extractive process is used in several industries to describe the extractive or of materials from the soil of the sea, the mining of coal, iron, or lead, gold, and silver, draining for oil, and the removal of magnesium and other chemicals from the ocean are a few examples of this process. So the second is the analytic process. So the analytical process involves dissolving a basic chemical into a number of different compounds, some of which may or may not resemble the parent substance. So the third is the synthetic process. So in the Philippines, the majority of manufacturing still takes the form of assembly. So the knockdown components are typically imported from abroad and assembled in the local assembly factories rather than being manufactured or fabricated in the Philippines plant unit. So currently, many assembly firms are experimenting with local-made components to replace imported ones. So the fourth is the fabricating process. So although the phrase fabricating process is primarily employed in the structural steel sector, it actually refers to a procedure that is very common in industry. So when a materials in machined, woven, broken up, pressed, finished, or given other treatment, its form is somewhat altered. It is sometimes referred to as the converting process, so especially in the textile industry. So the next slide is the continuous and intermittent processes. A second classification of production processes include continuous processes. So the term continuous processes is sometimes used to describe a manufacturing situation in which productive facilities are kept in operation for a relatively long period of time. In the steel industry, for example, the furnaces must be kept hot until they have been in lit until a shutdown is caused by a mechanical failure or a lack of orders. So this situation is also true in much of the chemical industry, where once the production processes have been started, they must be carried through the completion without interruption. So the second is the intermittent process. So intermittent manufacturing refers to a manufacturing process that can be stopped at will. For example, at the end of each day and then started again the next morning. So under this concept of the term, almost any industry that operates or on a purely one shift a day basis would qualify. So again, as with its counterpart, intermittent process has a double meaning. So the next slide is the second subtopic, which is the increasing production. So marketing, transportation, office, administration, and other corporation operations have all benefited from the effective application of poor production processes. However, they are most widely used in the manufacturing sector, so which is also where advanced countries are seeing the fastest rate of industrialization. So this process are specialization, standardization, simplification, and mechanization. So first we have the specializations. A company may specialize in products. Instead of putting out a variety of electronic product, company might specialize in only a few kinds of transistor radios. A specialization may be applied to processes, equipment, or label skills. The term specialization is used to refer to the narrowing of the field of activities. The next is the simplification. Simplification refers to the reduction in the numbers of types, size, forms, design, colors, and other class characteristics of a product. So when a manufacturer reduces his product to the three basic size, or small, medium, and large, he engages in simplification. Simplification helps reduce inventories or raw materials to affect economics and lower costs of manufacturing, and to increase efficiency of the manufacturing process. So next is the standardization. Standardization refers to the setting up of standard or norms as to size, quality, form, measure, weight, and other similar features. For instance, electrical light bulbs are generally standardized as such that a bulb purchased anywhere can fit a socket in any home. So automobile or Jeep parts are standardized by manufacturers to enable mass production and easier repairs. That's it. So the next is the mechanization. So mechanization refers to the development of machines to perform as much of the manufacturing process as possible. So the manual skills of workers are supplanted by machine skills. A mechanized printing establishment may use a folding and bending machine to take over the work of 20 laborers in the end processes of preparing books. So further to mechanization is the process of automation, where human effort is further reduced to a bare minimum. So the next slide is a new method of production scheduling is called PERT. P-E-R-T. So PERT introduced in 1968. So is planned is a plan and controlling technique. So the basic analytic device of PERT is a network consisting of a pictorial description of the necessary work. So estimated times to complete each activity are indicates on the network. So we are interested in the network that requires the most time because this time controls the project. So PERT is being used in research and development project, the conduct of new product developments, and the constructions of buildings, bridge, and power station. So PERT is advantageous for non-repetitive, non-routine projects such as maintenance, shutdowns, pilot plan runs, and building B1 preparation. So first, we have here the focus attention on potential problem in a project. And the second is to reasonably predict the attainment of project objectives, to evaluate progress towards this attainment, and it indicates feasible adjustment in related activities to improve overall project accomplishment. So, the next slide is the factors involved in manufacturing. So the manufacture of any article involves the following factors. So we have here the design. So the requirement of design is the article must be meet the requirements, namely the consumer's acceptance, utility, economic, processing, and the proper kind of materials to be used. And the choice of material depends on utility of or purpose, durability, and the cost of development and manufacturing of the product. And the last is the process. So in manufacturing, the third and last factor involved in processing, which requires machine and labor. So the proportion, however, of each is seldom the same as the manufacture of two different products. So, next is the design. So, here are the requirements. The first is the consumer acceptance. So, the design of an article must have what is called consumer acceptance. It must appeal to the consumer's taste or desire. A shoe manufacturer, for instance, who manufactures a high-cut style of shoes for men would find very little sales for his business. So, if he shifts to selling boy and teenager shoes in the same style, he may find a bigger market. So the next is utility. So the product must sufficiently serve the specified function, which is the second condition of design. A useful product is required. A chair that is attractive, constructive, and well designed might not be started. So enough to function as a chair for regular usage. Purely decorative furniture is expensive, so especially for families with multiple children, and designing an article utility is adaptively a key factor. It should coexist peacefully with consumers' desire for beauty. So the next is economic processing. So the design of an object should not lead to the employment or unprofitable manufacturing procedures. So, which is the third condition. High production cost will occur if the design causes manufacturing to move slowly. The products won't be able to be sold for a profit as a result of this. To put it another way, a product design must be developed to the point where it can be called a production design. or one that can be produced in the appropriate quality and at a price that is consistent with the price that product can pitch. And the last is the kind of the kind of materials to be used. So some materials are more workable than others, and some processes can be used with some materials but not with others. So copper is impervious to explosion, so except under long exposure to certain acid forms, and it an easily workable metal. So some aluminum wiring, on the other hand, has been developed. The plastic, some of the plastic have unvaluable strength, being practically unbreakable, impervious to acids, weather corrosion, and so on. There is even plastic house paint that is claimed to be impermeable to sun and rain. So on the next slide is the choice of materials depend on. So first is the utilities. So an ornament has little utility. It is merely for decorating something like a house, such as decorative articles carry temporary consideration. The main consideration in such cases are the cheapness of materials and inexpensive method of manufacturing. Articles may have either a utility of or a decorative purpose, sometimes both. Then the next is the durability. So durability is a factor that is taken into consideration with manufacturing goods, whether particle use articles in hardware and other hardware are variable in both durable and non-durable materials. The average consumers is unaware of the differences in value because the surface appearance of both product is largely the same. So last is the cost of the development and manufacture of the product. So a company management must be able to predict a return on investment for the product that is proportionate to the cost of creation. This called for knowledge of the time, effort, and equipment needed to develop the product, as well as the forecast of the market for it. The projected cost of manufacturing the product, which must be done economically, is also significant. So the slide is the processing. So the processing has 6 major types. First is trend to automaticity. So the modern printing press is automatically fed and powered by electric motor. While the modern printing press is powered by a motor, the early printing machine was manually operated. More automation in machine operation is a common trend. So in machine, which reduce the need for manpower. So the next is the advantages of automaticity. So on operation, an operation will require less handling. The next is the advantages of automaticity. So an operation will require less labor and less expenses the more automatically it is performed. A lower price makes the product more accessible to consumers, expanding the market. As a result, it is conceivable for one company that manufactures related goods to outcompete its rivals. So, and the next is the layout influences production. So the production is the organization of tools and machinery for any types of work in accordance with the flow of operations. So the size and shape of the valuable area, accessibility, comfort, facilities for transforming materials, facility for light and power and other elements are a few of this. This in fact can occasionally be completed partially or successfully neutralized. So the next slide is the efficiency of labor. So the continuous of the processes types. So the efficiency of labor, the effectiveness of the labor has a significant impact on the market and price. In 1914, Henry Ford mandated a $5 minimum salary per day for any employees. Mr. James F. Lincoln gave a minimum of $5,000 to each of his workers in 1940. So low salary won't lead to high productivity and affordability expenses. So that's it. So the next is the necessity for continued operations. So the manufacturer must make effort to keep his staff and equipment is in use. So operation orders and materials must be carefully scheduled in order to achieve this. A stockpile is merely a supply of materials that is momentarily sufficient to maintain manufacturing. So the Ford company accepted this deal. The materials should arrive the factory exactly in time to be processed. So the next is the control of production. So in order to identify waste, loss, and numerous company failures, production controls utilized as a measure when used correctly, it functions as a strong and advantageous mechanism. So production control makes it easier for work to flow, ensures that parts are needed when they are needed, and helps the business meets deadlines. So here are the third and the next topic, which is the step in production control. So production control is done to make sure that the intended machine workers and supplies are used for the right amount of time at the right time. Scheduling would be useless if time standard were not used. Notices a request for purchasing with a detailed information on the materials and when it is required and submitted to the purchasing department in order to accelerate the process of ordering it. So, for clarifying discussion, the essential production data utilized in production control consists of routing, scheduling, and dispatching. So, in routing entails determining the route that production will takes as it moves through the plant. So the route outlines the procedure to be followed and the order in which it should be done. So certain situations just identify the machine division, while others name the exact machine to be employed. Data are the time allotted to finish each specific operation in also provide via routing. So the next is the scheduling. So scheduling is the process of allocating a specific clock or calendar times for the execution of the particular task. So it may be compared to a long-use coordinator that aims to properly synchronize a large number of operations in order to avoid extra handling, extra storage space, and the possibility of product loss and deterioration. Work should not be finished too far in advance. So the last is that is departing. So the final step is the production control departing. So entails giving permission for certain batches of work to be completed. A particular terms, it entails obtaining a report on the status of the project. So, and giving permission to transfer materials from one section of the facilities to another. So, among the additional duties covered by departing are information on progress at each important production step, the quality of the work produced and admitted arrangement when the original plant is not carried out. And the next slide is continues of the step of the production control, which is the without departing. So routing and scheduling chains are accelerating using the departing mechanism. Without departing, production would not begin when and where it should. So the central production control organization unit receive reports from numerous places, the factory detailing the status of operations. So, and the last is the inventory control. So the goal of inventory control is the guarantee that there is always an appropriate supply of supplies on hand to meet operations needs. So the scrapping of discarding of useful goods could happen if there is insufficient control incoming. Materials should be carefully planned ahead of time to avoid delays and interruption in actual manufacturing. So the next slide is the last subtopic, which is the quality control. So the manufacturing portion of the company is in charge of both the creation and quality of the goods that are sold. By establishing clear requirements and conducting the appropriate production inspections to ensure that the specifications are followed. Quality may be regulated. Usually tolerances are allowed, which are boundaries within when the product may deviate in either direction. So here are the method department. Department dedicated to method is found in many manufacturing companies and creates the tools and equipment needed to manufacturing a specific product. It considers the order of the operation while taking care of the space, conveyors, fixtures, and available equipment. Even though the techniques department is focused on the physical element that will be used in production, the quality of the final product is also a goal. So the next is the product engineering. So the product engineer is responsible for the design and requirements of a company's goods. He must be extremely knowledgeable about technological specification and ensure that quality is guaranteed, and through inspection directly affect cost because work is saved by finding flaws earlier rather than later. So the last is the maintenance. So periodic inspections, alignment adjustment, sharpening of production tools, lubrication of moving parts, and inspection of the machine to look for any issues. It is used or all parts of machinery maintenance. Remedial maintenance is less effective than preventive maintenance. In certain factories, routine machine maintenance is scheduled with care, and records of the maintenance performed on each unit are kept. So, according to Peter Drucker, the purpose of an organization is to enable common men to do uncommon things, and that's it. And that's all for my report. And thank you, and God bless. If you have a question, please comment below. Thank you. Bye.